D4G episode 31.
Diving.
What do you think it's called?
What do we think of Tottenham's new stadium? I want to take a shit. Yeah. Welcome back. It's been a long international break for Diving for Glory. I'm your host, Mr. Pep, of course, Yola, Sir Solomon, what it do?
What's good?
Yay, welcome back. Diving for Glory, Season 2, Episode 31. We're going to look at a clash at the top of La Liga. Barcelona hosting Atletico Madrid. Bayern and Dortmund get together to settle their Bundesliga differences at the top of the table. Juventus try to close up Serie A, hosting AC Milan. And Liverpool almost do some damage almost get some damage done to them away to Southampton. Also, EPL review, the rest of the big league reviews, Champions League preview. We'll look at Europa League 2, as always, our prestigious and egregious awards, D4G awards section, and upcoming games to set you off for next week. We are in the nitty gritty of the season where all the games are big. Don't forget, Diving for Glory, attempting to post every Monday. Also Thursdays on Champions League week, which is this week and next week. The games come fast and heavy for the rest of the year. Check us out on iTunes, on YouTube, and divingforglory.com. Don't forget, on Twitter and Facebook at Diving for Glory. Hashtag subscribe, like, tweet, do all that. Hit us up, iTunes, rate us, tell us what you think. And with that, jerseys tucked, just the cut, boots laced, Diving for Glory. Let's go. It's been a minute. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of big names in the games, even if the games were, But I'm going to start you off at the Camp Nou, Camp Nou, or whatever, man. Barcelona, top of the table, hosting second place Atletico Madrid. Basically for the title, when it's all said and done, if Atleti have any hope, they need to at least they probably need to pull a win out of this, and they did not. Thanks to Mr. Costa posturing to defecate upon the referee's mother.
Interesting. There was an 8-point gap between these two teams because Barca had tied their last game 4-4 with, Real Betis?
No, it was Villarreal.
Sorry, Villarreal, who had actually been fucking them up until they made a 2-goal comeback in injury time behind goals from Luis Suarez and Messi. And Atletico could have seen that as an opportunity because if they had won this game away from home, they would have cut the lead to 5 with 7 games ago, and they would have really opened up a title race. But anything less than a win would have meant nothing. And as it happened in the 28th minute, Diego Costa decided to get in an argument with the referee over a basically very inane happening on the field. Some foul was called somewhere, and he decided to tell the referee that I shit on your fucking mother. At which point, he was shown a straight red, shown confusion, and left, escorted off the field by Piqué, who was talking to him, and I guess they played for Spain together, blah, 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 but the guy just realized the error of his ways and didn't make as big of a deal of it as he could have.
The ref couldn't even figure out which pocket to go to. He was in such shock. He was like, whoa,
it took about 1 minute for him to get that whole, like, he heard him, he looked at both pockets. Costa was just standing over him, waiting to see how angry he was by seeing which card he got.
So I joked to you before this game that I wasn't that concerned because Atleti never show up for the really big matches. What's up with that, man?
I think Atleti showed up big time for this match. They pushed Barca with 10 men from, like I said, the 28th minute on. Barca had 21 shots with 10 on target, but most of them were taken straight at Jan Oblak, and he also made a few really good saves, one of Phil Coutinho. And Diego Costa leaving the field ended their chances of quote-unquote winning the game, but they were still going for that draw, and they played nice. They were compact because it was the top of their team formation that left. It didn't affect them as much, and until 2 moments of brilliance from Luis Suarez and Messi, like, they were looking like they would get a 10-man 0-0 against Barca, which would have been a hugely impressive result considering how it went down.
I mean, and just to be fair, you know, yeah, kudos to how you played or whatnot, but just the fact that Costa made that mistake and got sent off. And then I even think about when they lost to Real Madrid the first time in the Champions League, when it was valiant effort, 1-1, and they just gave it all up in the end, just kind of like they did against Juve this year. I mean, like, what is it about?
I think that they're a team that is actually seriously punching above their weights, and that the expectations you have of them is something that shows how big this underdog has got. But they're still an underdog team. This is not Madrid. This is not Barca level team. Like, they're clearly beneath them. But to be higher than Real Madrid and this late in the season in a position to even challenge Barcelona, a Barcelona team that hasn't lost in the league since November, is huge.
Do you see some fall off with the Atleti team?
I think there will be after this season, and I think that this season they've not been the Atleti we've seen. But again, that goes down to their budgets, and like, they're gonna have spells like these because they're a small team built with like not as much money as their opponents, and they're gonna go through stages. But they're saying this summer, Rodri is trying to leave. If Griezmann leaves, that'll be, a few huge losses. I don't know. I think Angel Correa might be heading out. And
their whole team is under assault from other teams.
Yeah, and that is another thing that's showing you how well they've been. Like, I think to reach a couple of Champions League finals, win the league, I don't think that this is a team that can be called a choker team. Like, it's very, very hard to break through from one of those two teams and win it. You see Real Madrid finishing 15 points behind Barca and rocking people in the Champions League. These are historically two of the toughest sides that have been in existence,
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about Barcelona here. Like you said, Atleti played extremely well, even down to 10 men. And Barcelona could not crack that until a couple moments of brilliance. And like we kept saying, we watched this game, and they just kept going right at Oblak. Really, like they were
shooting straight at him. And Luis Suarez did what Luis Suarez has been doing for the last 18 months is miss a bunch of goals and then score late and make it look like he had a great game. Now that being said, the last 5 meetings he's had against Atletico Madrid, he scored the opening goal for the team. So Luis Suarez was making the runs. Philippe Coutinho made a few passes. The one thing about Suarez is he misses other people's passes. He don't fuck up on Messi's passes. So he had a few chances. Coutinho had a few chances that got saved, like you said, straight out Oblak. But they were opening up for a team like Atleti, who values not their opponents not getting a lot of shots. Barca did manage a lot of shots in this game.
Okay. So the result of this game puts Barcelona up 11 points with 7 games to go. They're up 13 on Madrid. Only a total collapse by Barcelona would cede the La Liga title to somebody else.
So, taking into account the goal difference, the head-to-head, they essentially have a 12-point difference, because if they finish tied on points, Barca win it.
That's right, because
they beat them twice.
And La Liga does not do goal difference.
Which they trounced them in.
Yep. Either way, right?
That would have been a much bigger victory for Barcelona, actually, because they have, if you look at the standings, like it's not even comparable.
Barcelona facing relegated Huesca, Real Sociedad, Alaves, Levante, Vigo, Getafe, Eibar for the rest of the season.
Barca has a goal difference in the league of 50, and Atletico Madrid have scored 45.
Yeah.
And received 21 for a goal difference of 24. Real Madrid is right up there with Atletico with a goal difference of 28. So whatever the tiebreaker is, they got it.
Yeah. All right. Who was your man of the match here?
Luis Suarez. Just that goal, he created it out of nothing, and it looked like on that day that's the only way that they could have got past Oblak, and he did that about, a minute after I told you? This is looking like a 0-0 game, dude.
Yep.
So he opened it up after that. Like Atletico, if you want to give them criticism, it's not so much that they choke in the big games, it's that they hold out in the big games for a long time, and then when they receive that first goal, then they lose concentration. Mm-hmm. And that happened on the Messi
really
goal.
Quick. Yeah. All right. Moving along over to the top of the table of the Bundesliga, where Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund were, 2 points apart?
Yeah.
Dortmund was up.
Dortmund was up because in their last game, Bayern Munich had actually dropped points to a relegation threatened team. And Dortmund had managed to steal the game in the injury time. And
it's easy to say at this point, like Dortmund's just been hanging on by a thread about the last 2 months, man.
So, like in the States, on basketball, podcasts and reading and whatever, they'll tell you teams that like steal the games, like your expected goals, like even in soccer, you have expected goals and stuff. And this team has scored like 7 or 8 goals in injury time. And those are their victories, And they've lost a lot of games that they should have won. And like you said, they were hanging by a thread, and that 2-point lead has never looked faker.
Shakier, yeah. And this is my first time looking at the stats for this game, and it looks as if Dortmund had played with 10 men. They might as well have fucking played with 10 men. This is embarrassing. Even outside of the scoreline.
Nah, they look like they play with like 9 or 8 men.
For real. Dude, 22 total shots by Bayern to 4 for Dortmund. Like, how is this the team at the top of the table, man? 1 shot on target.
But at the same time, when you're in the 17th minute, when you're 2-0 down, like they were shook. Like, this is not a team that played their game and this is how it turned out. Like, they just sat, like they were like, oh shit, let's all sit back and try to defend, and they didn't have a game plan for that. It's as if they trained all week thinking that Bayern Munich would not score on them. And when it happened, they didn't know what the fuck was going on,
So, this was over at halftime. Hell, this was over...
17 minutes, it was 2-0.
Before halftime, it was 4-0. And, of course...
Dan Axel Zagadou on the second goal completely turned off. And I don't know how you lose concentration when you're guarding Robert Lewandowski. But that's what happened. And that really kind of put it away.
Ugly, man. Ugly performance. 16 shots inside of the box for Bayern Munich. A little pissed off about that Champions League exit, are we? So, with all that...
They both exited the Champions League in the same round.
I know. I know.
One
team's pissed off. The other team's kind of like...
Since their first leg against Tottenham, Borussia Dortmund has been just in free fall.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not a good look. And Bayern retake the top of Bundesliga by a point. Dortmund's still in it, obviously. There's 6 games left in the season. And what do you think? How do you see it?
Oh, it's done. Bayern don't have Europe to they have to have the whole deck stacked and be playing every 3-4 games for you to try to pip them. But they're already ahead of you. They don't have much to They have the finals and the one semifinal to play.
They play RB and Frankfurt the last 2 games, which could be 2 teams that are already qualified for Champions League or whatnot. Away to RB. You never know. Oh, and they play Dusseldorf, man. Watch out.
Yeah,
next game. And
you could lose at any point. That's why you're playing against professionals, But I think that I'll be hugely surprised if Bayern Munich did not take this.
How does this fare, considering the Champions League situation for Bayern? How does this fare for the coach, the Novak, right? Kovac.
Niko Kovac. He stays. There have been plenty of rumors about Mauricio Pochettino all over the place. I think that this would be an ideal fucking situation for him. You get the Bayern Munich team, you bring in a guy like him who gives 0 fucks, get him to work them, because they look like they're playing based on talent. It doesn't look like they're playing. They're not listening to their coach. He just puts out a lineup and then they play the game, and that's not. He's gonna win it, and maybe they'll get rid of some of the older guys. And for example, Robin. There's rumors now that he's gonna end up in MLS with Toronto. Mm-hmm. If he gets rid of a few of them, they might work. But I think it's also Ribéry's last season there.
He's 35, man.
Yeah, but they flex a lot of influence in the dressing room. Thomas Muller, he needs to accept a smaller role or be shipped. If they want to actually go forth with Niko Kovac. And I think that will also mean that James Rodriguez will come onto the market again this summer.
Yeah, to rewind a little bit, I read an article this past week about Diego Simeone needing a second revolution, essentially, at Atleti if they want to take this next step. But one of the things they talked about was Godin leaving in the summer. And they talked about, that, he wanted a 3-year commitment, and they got that Chelsea rule that they only sign people above 30 for a year. And they brought up the point that I think we all know, but it maybe is not stated as much. And I bring it up because you say about the locker room presence of players. And Vincent Kompany, for whatever it is, man, I want him for the 8 games he's gonna play, because you're gonna play him in the big games. He's a locker room dude that keeps everything else in line. And I don't know, almost. Those guys are important. So I get what you're saying regarding Ribéry and Robin and such.
They are very important, but you have to figure out a way. There have been many historical occasions where somebody like Raúl with Real Madrid, Iker Casillas, Sergio Ramos even now, and they flex too much power within the dressing room. And at some point, when he becomes too senior of a player, it's nice when you're taking everybody under your wings and showing them this and that, but the team starts depending on them in non-football ways more than they do in football ways, then a person like Kompany has shown nothing but class behind the scenes and has been a perfect teammate. But when Godin is looking for a 3-year contract and they give him a 1-year contract, he's not gonna he needs to leave, and they need to make that move too, because you can't be overly dependent on. He's a player. He's really good, but not a non-generational player. You have to, if you want to move to the next level, you have to figure out a way to make that move.
So does Bayern? I guess what I'm asking here, though, is does Bayern suffer the risk of letting too much of their leadership go in attempting to have this youthful revolution? Because a lot of their main guys are getting up there in age.
A parallel question is Niko Kovac the man you would want at the helm of this revolution? Even if they did the right moves and sold the right guys and got the right players, if you do not have a person who you feel is good enough to be the CEO of FC Hollywood, basically. And
Well,
because when Bayern buy the new players, they're gonna be just as egotistical as the ones they just gonna get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's happened since I've been watching Bayern Munich since the 80s, and that's always been the case. It didn't start with Ribéry.
So you're just a results based. This is a results based business, and let's posit that. Let's say that they win the Pokal and they win the league, and they rightfully lost to a Liverpool team in Champions League. I don't think anybody thought Bayern were real threats this year. What's your knock against Kovac?
Man management has been off. His team selection varies too much. A lot of guys that are bought in from small teams into bigger teams, and this is one thing that Mourinho adjusted too quickly. But like his whole thing was like, buy me more players so I can use everybody. But they are very good situational coaches when they're playing in small teams, and when you move into big teams. Yeah, like if the numbers might tell you, for example, that a 4-2-3-1 with this guy playing double pivot with that guy is better. But if you're playing, say, for example, a Fortuna Düsseldorf, you just put out your best team, encourage the shit out of them. You have to pick and choose the times. You have to have the ability and the respect of the players, for example, in a Champions League game to pull out this information. And like to kind of, you have to wean it. Like you have to give it to them slowly.
Yep.
And that management ability needs to be there for whoever is next. That's the thing that makes Pep special, is that not that he has all these tactics, it's that he knows how to explain them to his players,
Mm-hmm. Who could you see there next year? Do you think they go back to the well? Niko Kovac is a former Bayern player, right? Yeah,
I think he stays.
I think so too.
And yeah. Given a second season and with more power, he might actually come into the role too. There's always that. Like when we say so and so is a bad coach or a bad player, a bad manager, like given opportunities, like this is a sport where you're learning, and everybody has a certain amount of ability to begin with. So he might improve and he might get better assistance, etc. But as of now, keeping him doesn't get him any closer to a Champions League.
You assume you'll see Nagelsmann there eventually?
Yeah, I can see that. I think he refused them. I think they wanted him already, or they got when they got Kovac, he was one of the names mentioned. But I think Nagelsmann, eventually ends up there.
Or who's your man of the match?
Man of the match was Lewandowski.
All of them. Yeah. All right. Word up.
He just like. You forget because like he didn't get a lot of service against Liverpool and stuff, but like you don't see him a lot. You forget how dominant of a force the guy is. Like from a physical, like he's faster, jumps higher, shoots better, has no wind up on his shot. I'm like
he's a monster. Man.
Yeah, you got it. Like the one thing about him is that he needs service, so you have to cut out service. And Niko Kovac for just not providing him enough service against Liverpool, to me, that in itself is a fireable offense.
I actually want to see him move. Is this last year of his contract coming up?
I think like he's renewing or something.
Is he going to renew?
I think he's staying. Uh-huh. Yeah, I think he's past 30. Like he's like coming on 32 now.
31, I think. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, well, move along. We're going to move to the top of the Serie A table. Juventus hosting AC Milan. And Juventus are way, way, way clear here. AC is still fighting for their Champions League spot. They've been on an uptick lately with a slight little blip. But Juventus playing without Cristiano Ronaldo for the past couple weeks as he deals with an injury to try to race back for the Champions League match versus Ajax this week. And yet and still, they have seemed to have found a wonderful heir apparent.
Before we get to that wonderful heir apparent, it was a really well played game from AC Milan for most of it. Bakayoko has been spectacular for them this season, and especially like the second half of the season. And he created Piatek's goal with a through pass, and Piatek keeps scoring. He's now AC Milan's leading scorer in the league.
In half a season.
They got him in January. He actually passed, what's his name, Higuain a couple of weeks ago. But they're playing good, and Dybala earns and makes a penalty in the second half. But before that happened, Mario Mandzukic. You didn't watch this game, I assume, but no. Did you see the highlights? Mario Mandzukic had an overhead kick casually saved. I mean, it was saved.
Yeah.
Spectacularly saved, but he casually took an overhead kick. The guy has a flair. For being such a big guy, he has a flair for the spectacular that I appreciate. Big up Mario Mandzukic.
Absolutely.
But
he was nice for Atleti when he played for them. Where was he at?
He fits Atleti's style. He's the he was Diego Costa before Diego Costa. I don't think Mario Mandzukic. I think so.
He was Bayern. Yeah. But anyway.
But so they went in 1-1, and then they subbed Mr. Moise Kean for Paulo Dybala in the 66th minute, and Moise Kean proceeded to put the game to rest.
Put to bed. 2-1. Juventus walk away with all 3 points, and I know AC have to be pretty disappointed about that. Let me ask you about Bakayoko. Are we just talking such a talent gap between Premier League and Serie A? Are we talking about...
No, I wouldn't say that, because when he got to Serie A, he was seriously struggling there too. And I think that Gennaro Gattuso should get a lot of credit for coaching this guy into this position and giving him the opportunity. Yes, there is a fall off, and I don't think that the guy is... It's not just a quality fall off. There's also a style difference, because the Premier League is a very vertical league. You play fast, you keep going. Here you get time on the ball, and you can this mirrors what the French league is in style more than the Premier League. So this is a more accurate reflection of who Bakayoko is. That being said, I want to go back to earlier. Mr. Mario Mandzukic from 2010 to 2012 played for Wolfsburg. 2012 to 2014 played for Bayern Munich. 2014-2015, the one season he played for Atletico Madrid. Then he went to Juventus.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Some big teams there. Guy does score some goals, though. Either way, one of the big stories here was Moise Kean again scoring late, scoring a big goal, only to be tackled by his own teammate,
Leonardo Bonucci,
the center
who
back.
happens to be the center back and furthest from the play when it happened. Especially when you consider that it wasn't it was a bit of a fast break play too. Runs across, and basically right after Moise Kean finishes his little dance move, who do we see come out of nowhere? The same guy that was chastising him for after 84 minutes of being given monkey chance against Cagliari, a team that is notoriously racist, that has made monkey chance in the last 3 seasons at all Juventus's black players in away games, And when Moise Kean scored, he just looked at the crowd, put his hands in the air, kind of flexed, but didn't do anything. Yep. And then after that, when Bonucci gets asked about the game, he responded with, I think the blame should be split 50-50. He shouldn't have celebrated like that, and they should also not have done it. So Mario Balotelli got on it on Instagram. He was like, yo, I'm glad I wasn't there, because I would have fucked somebody.
Yeah, tell Bonucci he's lucky I wasn't there.
Yeah. So this game, I guess after that, he said, in any case, who cares? We're just teammates. That's as close as Bonucci's ever going to get to apologizing, And this is from a guy who last season left Juventus to go to AC Milan after slapping Paulo Dybala in the locker room, and then warned the crowd that if they boo him, he'll fuck them up. And then proceeded to celebrate vociferously and in a very...
When he scored, right?
Yes, against them. And how quick the memory is to forget, the mind.
Chomp, man. Chomp. He's a great player. He's a fucking great player, man, but chomp. All right. Who's your man of the match here?
I'm going to give it to Moise Kean, man. That's a beautiful goal. Second place, though, I have to say, it goes to RoboCop, Mr. Piatek, who has scored a beautiful, beautiful goal. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. So, this this puts the Serie A title within Juventus's grasp for the next match. They can close it out with 6 games to go. And Milan fall 5 points back of Inter, and they're tied on points with Atalanta, only a point up on Roma. Like, it's going to be a battle to the end here for these Champions League spots. So at least this last one.
Yeah, but the way, remember, there was a certain point in the season where the question you were asking was like, do you think Milan even sniffs a Champions League spot? You know,
Yeah, they started off so slow.
Yeah, they're happy to be in fourth. And when you look at their scoring, it's right on par with Inter, who's suffering. The team that's like a big surprise to me is Atalanta. You know, like they've scored 64 goals in the season, dude.
Yeah.
The same amount as Juventus.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, defensively it's just different.
I mean, of course, they've received 41 to Juventus's 20, but that has still got
that's impressive, absolutely,
to 5th place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think that anybody had, with Roma's signings and before the Monchi experiment exploded in their face and stuff, I don't think that anybody had Atalanta there. Like, they're a mid-level team.
No, they made Champions League.
Except us, because we did a special on fucking Atlanta, motherfuckers.
Show did. ATA aliens. ATA.
Papu Gomez, big up yourself.
They made Champions League a couple years ago, man. They solid little program, I guess, they got going on the past few years. All right, moving along over to the Premier League, and we're going to hang around at the bottom and the top of the table there as Southampton hosts Liverpool. We thought about talking about some other games, but this was actually a good game, fun game.
If Liverpool gets to the end of the season still in contention or even wins the league, this will be one of the games that we'll have to go back and talk about, because this is not a victory of football. This is a victory of like heart. And Southampton scored early. Then it got to 1-1. Yeah, it was at 1-1 for a long fucking time after Naby Keita, nice ass goal. But it looked like Southampton might be able to manage to get a 1-1. They never looked like they were going to score 2 goals.
No, never.
But Liverpool kept coming. They kept coming. You know, they had 17 fucking shots, but only 5 on target. This is the problem from last season. But Mr. Mo Salah gets his fucking finish, puts it at 2-1. The substitutions that he made in that game, Mr. Jurgen Klopp, I was kind of flabbergasted at the time, but actually proved them to be quite good. They brought in Mr.
Milner
and Henderson for Wijnaldum and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I thought they should brought in a more creative player, but Jordan Henderson had an assist and a goal in that time that he was on the field. So, big up yourself. And Milner, if nothing else, is a very solid player. So against Southampton, those were good subs, and they just showed a lot of heart, and they showed that they're here for the fight. They're not gonna fold.
I feel like after a slog there for a minute, Firmino has started to come along and really starting to be more. He's like actually their playmaker.
He is, but like he's more noticeably good also because Mo Salah seems like he's coming to the end of his shitty run. Over midweek, the Tottenham game where they scored on themselves, he basically created that play, and then now he scores this goal. And Mo Salah performing really opens up Firmino to drop in, do what he wants, and be, like you said, the playmaker that they are. But for the last 45 days or so, other than penalties or like whatever, like Mo was looking like kind of shitty. And that really threw off the balance of the 3-man. Mane has been carrying both dudes, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
Like, I would say that next to Virgil van Dijk, the season's player of the season for Liverpool should go to Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
And that is agreed with by people like Real Madrid and stuff who are trying to take him away.
Yeah, and I also, for the sake of mentioning it, Firmino playing well, like, I haven't seen Fabinho play well in the past month or so.
True. But I think they play better with Fabinho in. And I think that they missed an opportunity in the Tottenham game to actually play him when the coach decided to play with his super conservative Henderson, Milner, Wijnaldum midfield. I think that playing Fabinho instead of one of those three is the way forward, and I think that he should get a fuckload of games.
Word up. This is particularly tough for Southampton as they were trying to stave off relegation, maybe at least snatch a point here. They were blessed by Cardiff losing midweek to Manchester City, so they still are up 5 points out of relegation. The way they played this game, and they played well considering everything, I don't see them getting relegated.
I don't think that Cardiff has the firepower to make up a 5-point difference, and I think that Southampton is a better team than Cardiff. I actually expected Cardiff to go down ahead of Fulham and Huddersfield. So
they've made it a fight, though, man. If they had any scoring, it might be out of it.
It's sad because like they also had a little bit of a spurt after their striker, who was on his way to them, passed away. It carried, like, they had a little momentum, but you feel like what could have been, Yep. Anyways, bye.
Who's your man of the match?
I want to give it to Naby Keita, who's been receiving a fuckload of shit. And in this game, like, people were just talking about how little he was doing when he scored, and maybe that'll turn his season. I think that next season they'll depend a lot more on him. From what I'm seeing, it seems like Klopp, like Diego Simeone, it takes a long time before he can trust a player.
Yeah. And his system seems a little bit harder to figure out, or just
I disagree with that. I think it's just a matter of he's going to play you when he feels he trusts you. And I think that his system is actually one of the simpler. I think that Tottenham's offense is very complex. I think that even Arsenal's, because it changes all the fucking time, there's a lot of complexities to what you do. I think that Liverpool, which is a credit to them, play a very simple offense, and they're still effective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they sit tight, they play with not a very wide team, and they come at you from 3 angles up front. And those guys are fucking wicked. But I don't think that is a difficult system to study. Especially in the position that, like, Fabinho and them, and, like, I don't get it. If anything, I'm surprised that Klopp, even though they're doing really, really good, a coach who at Dortmund would play a bunch of players, like, I'm surprised that he's very rigid in how he plays a lot of the team.
He's stuck pretty hard to the 4-3-3 this year. Like, he does not.
And for example, like he's decided that Shaqiri is a midfielder, right? So he only comes in as a midfielder. Yep. Like, I don't see him in games come in to give somebody a spot up front or something.
Early in the season, but
once he's decided what you are, like, he doesn't really move you around. Which, just an observation, not good, not bad.
Yep. All right. And that's that. We're going to move along to the midfield.
Ooh, what was this? Ooh, what was this? It was really. Ooh, what was this? It was really good, Jen.
Yeah. We're going to have to look at some of these midweek games for our EPL review because they were FA Cup replays that were played early. So we will start you off Tuesday with Watford hosting Fulham. And Watford been in fine form this season, man. 4-1, they smashed Fulham. Little surprise there, though, as Fulham are officially relegated after this match.
A team that is legendary, that is becoming legendary for their heart, has taken on Stoke's belt as toughest team in the Premier League, playing against a very soft team that showed in a short season that they have no heart. They just took their lunch money.
Took their lunch money, no doubt. Bullying Troy Deeney and fools.
Yeah, man.
Ghost Deeney. Wolves hosting Manchester United, a rematch of the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. This is a Premier League game, and United come out short in this one. Crucial loss.
Crucial loss, and also if you've been watching United this season, you would have probably picked this game to be one they would lose at. Their midfield, whenever they come up against a team that plays either a lot in midfield or has good midfielders, is always overranked. And even in the PSG series, they got dominated in every statistical category by a PSG midfield that was kind of just put together, you know? And Wolves, if Wolves have anything, they have fucking good midfielders. And they completely controlled it, and it was a beauty to watch, actually.
2-1, Ashley Young sent off in the 57th minute for his second yellow card after getting persistent fouling yellow before that.
I mean, Ashley Young needs to leave.
Yeah, no. And he's been consistent starter under Solskjaer. They don't have
under everybody since Alex Ferguson left. He's been a consistent starter. Kept the captain's armband sometimes. I don't know how somebody that
average.
No, below.
You don't even think he's average?
I think that no, because I think he's average at his original position, which by this point he's below average in it because he never plays there. I don't think that he's an average defender.
Yeah,
and I think that for them to do that, they usually double up on that side and they try to give him cover so he doesn't look bad, but it affects their football.
Yeah, I've seen teams go
hard on it.
Go right at him. Yeah, for sure. I think it's like that's one of their main positions that they have to address this summer. United,
absolutely, and such a dirty fucking player.
Yeah, he's a dirty.
Oh,
he
so
is,
fucking dirty.
He is for sure. On the other side of Manchester City hosted Cardiff City, as mentioned earlier, and they came away with the 2-0. Playing without Sergio Aguero did not do them in.
Two really good goals from Leroy Sané and Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne's goal was wicked.
Oh, yeah.
He took it from an impossible angle. And
if he
they essentially played their second team for a couple of games, and a lot of the guys are coming back. So Pep has a full squad essentially to pick from going forward.
Almost. That's up for grabs. That's up for debate as people are trying. He's saying Kyle Walker is injured. People aren't believing it. Zinchenko's out. They're having, but at least Mendy's back. Delph is training as well. Manchester City.
That only matters to you because you're like very involved in them, but like that's a full squad. You know what I'm saying?
Need everyone, man. Trying to win 4 of them. Moving along. Whatever, man. Hater.
Truth teller.
Hate. Newcastle hosting Crystal Palace this Saturday, and Newcastle get the business 1-0. Crystal Palace all 3 points.
Yeah, Mr. Miljolevic penalty scores.
In a very odd fashion, Newcastle dominate possession. They dominate the statistical categories.
I don't know if you call it dominate when you had 53% possession.
Excuse me. 18 total shots to 3 by Crystal Palace.
I'm just saying, you said they dominate possession. I'm like, oh shit, they're looking at it as like 53%.
They had more possession. Shut up, man. Damn, man. Every single thing I say. Newcastle taking the
They did have like 9 corner kicks to their 4 everything. Yeah, you're right.
Huddersfield hosting Leicester City, and Huddersfield are already down, and Leicester City, surprisingly, they popped up in 7th place after this game after 4 straight wins under Brendan Rodgers.
Beautiful goal by who's the guy's name? Madison, yeah.
He's had some goals this year, man.
Free kick, yeah.
He's had a good season, man.
He's had a really good season for them, and he, I think, might have a future for England.
I was just going to ask,
because he's one of the rare, like, nice, pure number 10s that you've seen, like in an English team.
Are you on a really side note? Are you feeling like there's always a lot of hype around England, but there's a lot of players, man.
There's a lot of players, but there's not a lot of world-class players.
You don't think?
Okay. If you look at like Germany, even the young guys like Kimmich and stuff are way higher like rated than these guys, I would say. And Sancho, he had an excellent first half of the season. He's good, but he's on his if they keep moving and growing, They have a lot of players. But I've seen a lot of English guys come up, and that's their level, and they just stay there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They got a lot of...
I think that the teams with, like, when John Terry and Gerrard and Lampard and everybody was playing were way stronger than these teams. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like, talent-wise, like, these guys were finishing second place in, like, World Player of the Year awards.
No, I know. Those are legendary dudes.
And what I'm saying is, like, if they couldn't put it, in tournament play, anything can happen. I just think that they need more possession-based kind of players. Like this past tournament in the World Cup, for example, they played Kieran Trippier and he did his thing and he was fine, whatever. You can't run that back. You don't have that surprise element of things anymore. And I don't think that England, once people start preparing for them, like they're a huge team, are not.
Yeah, Walker will be like 30-something by next World Cup, too. You say what you want, man. He's like a top 5, 6 fucking RB in the world, man.
But what I'm saying is, like, very little of the football happens out there. Like, their success is going to depend on whether Harry Kane has his shooting boots on, whether, like, Dele Alli. Like,
Sterling.
Yeah, you're right. The right back is, but teams have won with makeshift right backs. Like, you're not going to win if Sterling or Harry Kane get their legs broken or, a week before the tournament. But if Kyle Walker dies tomorrow, England won't lose a beat.
I guess, man. Moving along, this is if he dies tomorrow. Bournemouth hosting Burnley. This is a huge 3-1 for Burnley as they move.
In fact, I want to say the best career move he can make for England is to die right before the tournament, and then they might win it for him.
Win it for him. Bournemouth hosting Burnley, man.
Yes.
Bournemouth taking L. Burnley get pretty much pull themselves out of this relegation discussion.
They basically pulled themselves right up to Bournemouth's level with the win. And, yeah, the relegation discussion might go on for maybe 1 or 2 more weeks, and I think Cardiff is gone and all these other mediocre teams are just going to be there.
Yeah, I think Cardiff and Burnley even play this coming week. They do. So that'll go a long way to see what if Cardiff pull all 3 points, that'd be like the only way. Other than that, it'd be a wrap. All right. And then we are looking at, man, some painful on the eye shit to watch yesterday. Everton hosting Arsenal.
Yeah, especially from Arsenal fans' perspective, because Arsenal did nothing in this game. They started Ozil and Henrik Mkhitaryan in the midfield, Armenian. And I didn't see why. When you have 2 players that have essentially been frozen out, and you're playing them against a team that has historically got somewhat of your number in Everton. They've got points from them even back when Landon Donovan was playing on loan out of the MLS. They beat them, And to play 2 players that haven't consistently been playing football and take out a player such as Aaron Ramsey and stuff, is Everton just did what they wanted. Like the first half, they were just going at it. They're just not good players, so they would miss and stuff. But they had a game. They looked like they were the better team.
Denis Suarez must give like A+ hand jobs or something, because I don't understand why else they would have put him on this team.
Or doesn't.
Or doesn't, because he's suffering the coach's wrath for no apparent fucking reason.
I'm like, he's pissed off somebody, because I don't understand how it can't be a football decision to play him, because he's played no football for them. And you did get him, so you should see what he looked. He's played for the coach before. Like, I don't understand what it is, but anyway,
your hand job game is falling off, son. You need to work
dude.
at that.
He's like, yo, now that we've moved to England, that Spanish lotion that you were using is not good.
It doesn't work the same, man. This was holy shit. Arsenal 7 total shots to 23 by Everton, even though Everton weren't that clinical here.
It's written in stone on the 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not start Lacazette and Aubameyang in the same game." Like, why don't you just put them both in the game and fucking play?
And he's done it.
And they win, and they score, and they love playing with each other.
It's a great success. So, as we talk about him being the the ultimate pragmatist in a way. Like he's always adjusting and trying to do
Sometimes
something or whatever.
people like that always end up thinking themselves into a problem that they wasn't there.
Absolutely. Do you think this was Europa motivated?
I don't know how that is because he played everybody still.
Yeah,
Ramsey came and played.
Yep.
Lacazette came. Mayon came in and he played, and he played like almost like a defender at some points because he had to, like, the game was so lost by then.
So
If he had started and played 30 minutes and they had scored 2 goals and they had a 2-goal lead and take him out, that might have made more sense.
So the question I have then is, and we're going to talk about Europa, but which is the easier path for Arsenal to Champions League football? I'd say Premier League. If it wasn't for their away form being so shit,
There is no easier path. It's Champions League football, and they're cornered in like
they got to play equally on
win.
both fronts.
You have to at this point because you have to play a strong team to beat Napoli, and Arsenal in particular cannot win without playing a strong team. So what are you going to do? You're going to rotate and, we might beat Napoli, so you're going to rest your players. And, like, you just have to hope. Like, they're in it in both, but they're not comfortable in anything to where, and you can't even say he's rotating his squad because he doesn't know who his squad is. Like, I don't get it. So they're, on paper, in a pretty good spot. They're in 4th place, control their own destiny. They're playing against Napoli. If they will beat Napoli, who's kind of been faltering, they get to the semifinals of the Europa League. But they're not looking good for either.
Oh no, not at all.
So it's weird.
I guess in my mind, it just seems like the Premier League, seeing that there's more games and that the nature of a knockout tournament is a little bit more iffy. I just felt like, trotting out your strong team here, playing your 2 strikers up.
I think that you're giving Emery too much credit, thinking that he did it looking towards the thing. I think that he doesn't want to play both of them because, quote unquote, defensively you're not, But if you're playing Mkhitaryan and Ozil, then I would venture to argue that he's a better defender than both those guys. So I don't know what the idea was. If it is a rotational, then a lot of his guys still ended up playing. So
and I believe they're going to miss.
Socrates picked up. He's going to be rotated.
Yep.
Because he's going to sit out 2 games because he leads the league in yellow cards.
Everton was hella wasteful. They could have had about 5 goals in his game.
Yeah, but those are wasteful guys that ended up in Everton.
Dude, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, if you're like that dude who does everything good except what you're supposed to do, like you're going to end up on Everton.
Well, who was it that was, they said, let's say Theo Walcott or something. They're like, he's just like the epitome of Everton.
Oh, perfect. Perfect for them, dude. I almost feel the same about Richarlison, man. Young kid though.
And then they said like Richarlison's representatives had a meeting with Klopp and
fuck out of here, son. the agent hype trying to do things. Anyway,
he'd be good for you in August and September of every season. Yeah, like he starts off the season
10 goals for the season, whatever he got. Yeah.
He gets that bonus money and then he's gone.
So where's that? Today, Chelsea hosts West Ham in a huge match for them. Just to run this down really quick, Liverpool are at the top of the table by 2 points, but Manchester City have a game in hand, that game in hand being the Manchester Derby. Tottenham sit 3rd place with 64 points. Arsenal with 63 points are 4th, tied on points with Chelsea, who have 63 as well. And United have now fallen to 6, 2 points back of 4th place Arsenal. As mentioned, Huddersfield, Fulham are done already. You're looking at Cardiff with 28, and then you have Southampton and Brighton above them, 5 points clear. And that's Premier League. Moving along to La Liga and the rest of our league reviews. We mentioned the Barcelona Atleti already at the top here. They also played midweek games. We're not going to go too in depth on those because the results that happened then barely even matter now. That Villarreal-Barcelona game was crazy, though. Barcelona went up 2-0. Fucking Villarreal pulled 4 back on them.
Yep.
And then
Barcelona went up 2-0 with Messi on the bench.
Yeah.
And then Villarreal came back and put 4 on them, and then Messi came in and took it to injury time, and then he took on the 93rd minute goal by Messi, who scores his 6th free kick goal of the season. The first time since Ronaldinho did it in 2004-05 that somebody scored 6 in the season. He leads. Only Juventus until recently had more free kick goals than him, and they were leading him by like 1. I think he's tied them now. Yeah, since 2011.
Crazy. Valencia get a 2-1 win midweek over Real Madrid. Valencia is a trip, man. We're going to get to them in a second. But this weekend, Real Madrid bounced back with a 2-1 over Eibar.
They went 1-0 down to Eibar, long stretches, but this year's revelation for Real Madrid through all the chaos and animosity and insanity has been Karim Benzema.
Oh, yeah.
Karim Benzema has
He'll still be there next year, too.
Oh, yeah. Now they're even saying they might not buy a big-time striker because he's there. But I'm just saying, like, this season, he has been their most consistent performer.
Sid Lowe from ESPN was like, oh, man, Zidane wants Bale gone so bad. He's like, he got 3 consecutive questions. It's like, one was about Marcelo. He's like, no, Marcelo, you know, he's a key player here. Da, da, da. Then it was Benzema. Benzema, definitely got to have him around. Then they were like, what about Bale? I was like, yeah, we'll see.
That is exactly reflective of Bale's attitude, though. Like, he brings it out in people. Mm-hmm. Like, from what I've seen, it's just like, yo, this is a very happy-go-lucky, like, very friendly with each other locker room. That doesn't just like this dude. Like, it's you, homie.
Mm-hmm. So after beating Real Madrid 2-1 midweek, Valencia turned that around and lay an egg against Rayo Vallecano and lose 2-0. Just as they were really, really creeping on that 4th Champions League spot.
Yeah, they were never going to win an away game right after beating Madrid, man. Like, they probably partied 2 nights and then had 1 full training session and then went to play an away game. Like, nah. And I think that the way it stands, I'd be surprised if Valencia made the Champions League. But I think that Valencia should just be a Europa League team. And then, like, where they stand, they're going to kind of get that. Because Alaves is free falling. Excuse me. Free falling. That's what Alaves did. Speaking of it, free falling, Betis has been up and down too.
Yep. Valencia, by goals allowed, have the second stingiest defense in the league, but their goal scoring, as we mentioned ad nauseum, is probably like bottom 6 in the league. It's terrible. If they could add some scoring to this scenario.
What's funny is the other 2 really bad scoring teams. Okay, Huesca, who's bottom, has 35 goals. Valencia has 33 goals.
Yeah.
Vallecano, who's second bottom, has 34 goals. Villarreal, who's in the relegation zone, has 6 more goals than Valencia. But Alaves and Athletic Bilbao, who are right by them, have also scored 32 and 33 goals. Mm-hmm. So, in Real Madrid, in La Liga this season, you can end up anywhere. It's just how well do you defend.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy to imagine La Liga has become this defensive-driven league or whatnot.
Because there's always a counter of when you buy a bunch of offensive players. At some point, somebody is going to have to start figuring, like Brazilian league ended up becoming super defensive after a while because like people are just not trying to have it, so they just foul in midfield. Mm.
Getafe with a 1-0 over Athletic Bilbao after drawing midweek to Espanyol. They stay in 4th place. Sevilla with a 2-0 over Real Valladolid. That's after a 2-0 midweek over Alaves. So Sevilla doing their up and down thing. They're currently trying to stay in that fight for Champions League. Celta Vigo attempting to stave off relegation with a 3-1 over Sociedad.
Huge victory.
Yep, and Betis, as mentioned, with a 2-1 over Villarreal. Villarreal with a tough week, giving up a 2-goal lead on Barcelona late and then losing to Betis.
Yeah, because if they had kept those 2 points, they would actually be 2 points out of the relegation zone with Valladolid being in it, and they would be tied with 16th place Celta, you know? So Villarreal looks like... The funny thing is they're still in the Europa Cup. So there was this tweet I saw that next season Villarreal might be competing in the Champions League in the second division.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was like, can that actually happen? Is that allowed? We'll see.
So you winning the Europa can get you in the Champions League. It should be able to keep you in the league then.
Yeah. They don't do the playoff. No, they don't. You're relegated in La Liga. So just to recap La Liga for you, Barcelona at the top by 11 points. Atleti are only 2 points clear of Real Madrid despite all that. Getafe sit fourth, 10 points back of Madrid. But there is a nice little battle formulating here for that last Champions League spot between Getafe, Sevilla, and Valencia, as only 4 points separate them all with 7 games left. Relegation actually looks relatively exciting as well for La Liga. Huesca are at the bottom, although they've made a go of it considering how far down they were. Vallecano sit 19th, 3 points behind Villarreal, but Villarreal, Valladolid are even on points, and they are only 2 points behind Celta, 3 points behind Levante, and Girona has fallen into that discussion a little bit as well. That's La Liga for you. Moving along over to Italy and all their racist glory. Serie A looks like, as we mentioned, the Juventus beating Milan. Roma finally get a fucking result. Fuck.
Yeah.
They actually get like a real typical Italian result too. A 1-0 away.
In a decent game against Sampdoria away. And I mean, it's been chaos in Roma, and like been power struggles and upheavals. So I can understand why they're not really getting the results, and the football isn't there, you know. Mm-hmm. So good for them.
They move back into that, as mentioned earlier, that top 4 discussion. And we are also looking at Inter hosting Atlanta, which turned into a 0-0 draw. Icardi has been back. Did he play in this game?
Yes, he did. He played in the midweek and scored. Mm-hmm. Earned and scored a penalty, I think. And this game he played missed, and they got nothing out of it.
He started in this game too.
I saw this rumor that Diego Simeone might want him at fucking. I think that'd be a spectacular purchase.
That'd be nice for them,
especially since he wouldn't be allowed to talk at all. Yeah. And like if his wife said anything, he'd just like choke her out with a strap on or something. Is it? Diego Simeone don't play.
Yes, there's only room for one Wanda in the Wanda. Lazio 2-2 with Sassuolo. They stay alive for Europe. Napoli just kind of sputtering to the end of the year. Maybe they're more concerned. I don't know. Maybe they just want to win Europa for the fuck of it. They're going to play Champions League, but it kind of feels like they've checked out a little bit.
But like, I think the Europa, even without Champions League qualification, is a big cup to win.
Absolutely.
Like, and they have checked out, and I don't believe that playing bad in your league really helps you win tournaments. Mm-hmm. So if that's their game plan, then I think they're going to have something different coming their way.
Word up. Standing.
But Ancelotti, like, I don't know, like, you either really buy into his system or not, and they seem like they run less. His style is a little more lackadaisical, and I think they can get got.
All right. Juventus sit top of that table by 20 points with 7 games to go, so basically a point next match will see them through. A win will give them the Serie A title, as mentioned earlier. Napoli sit comfortably in, dare I say comfortably, as a 7-point lead over Inter.
Inter don't want that.
Nah, they don't want that, man. Inter third, and they have a 5-point lead on, they've opened up a 5-point lead on AC. The battle for fourth is really interesting, as you have Milan with 52, Atlanta with 52, Roma with 51, Lazio with 49, Torino with 49.
Lazio got theirs with a last-minute goal, too, to get the point.
Mm-hmm. So that, and Lazio has a game in hand. Wow. So that's going to go to the wire. That seems really exciting.
Bye, Kievo.
Yeah, Kievo's gone, way gone. They won one game this year.
That was by mistake. They didn't want to.
Yeah. Frosinone sit 19th, 23. They're 5 points from clear. Clarence and Bologna are now in the final relegation spot. Bologna and Empoli are a point apart, and Spal looks a little bit removed from this as they are 5 points clear of relegation. But you never know. You can get dragged down there quick. Bundesliga review, not the Bundesliga, the Bundesliga. There we go. Matches. As mentioned, the Bayern Munich slaughter, sacrificial lamb, Borussia Dortmund. Still a lot to play for in Bundesliga as Wolfsburg continue their run up the table with a 3-1 over Hanover. Frankfurt continue their fine form. Frankfurt's fine form. With a 2-1 over Schalke, who have said fuck this year. Leipzig with a 4-2. They came back in this game to get that 4-2 over Leverkusen. They've been playing really well this year. And Hoffenheim with a 4-0 on Augsburg. Lastly, Borussia Mönchengladbach have been free-falling down the table with a 1-1 draw to Werder Bremen.
Yeah, Bayern just like really took the wind out of the whole season with their fucking gut punch.
Yup. So they sit a point clear of Dortmund. Dortmund are 8 points clear of third place Leipzig. Leipzig are 3 points clear of fourth place Frankfurt, who are 4 points clear of Mönchengladbach, who were sitting second place at one point. This second half of the season, they've just kind of lost it, and Wolfsburg are sitting sixth after battling relegation last year. They look like they're going to go for Europe, although Hoffenheim is right on their tail. As mentioned a number of times, if Hoffenheim were to sneak a Champions League spot, it would be amazing, but Europe definitely within their grasp. Relegation in Bundesliga, Hanover is pretty much a wrap. Nuremberg is pretty much out there as well, as they are 8 points clear of safety. Stuttgart sit in the playoff spot at the moment with 21 points. Above them is Augsburg by 4 points, so it will take a little bit. But you never know down in the bottom of the table.
True. Leipzig finishing in the Champions League spots is interesting because their coach is leaving, and Hoffenheim's coach is going to be their manager next season. Julian Nagelsmann, we talked about him earlier. So, after finishing fourth and third, his last couple of seasons, he's going to finish out of the Champions League spots. And yet, it'll be his third straight season of coaching Champions League football. And I think the RB next season is going to be kind of scary with him there.
Absolutely, especially if they are able. There's been a lot of talk about Werner.
I think
Timo Werner.
I think he leaves.
You think he leaves?
I think he leaves.
Yeah.
I think they're ready for it too. He's actually not had that good of a season this year.
Not like last year, no.
Not like the year before that. Mm-hmm. And then last year was still good, but I think this year it seems like he's kind of checked out too.
And Nagelsmann doing his Charlie Sheen thing, winning continuously. All right, last of the last, League 1. I still can't, honestly, I can't believe this league isn't wrapped up. Still.
Nobody,
I mean, it's wrapped
nobody
up,
can,
but like,
and nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. Some interesting results, though, as Bordeaux get a red card and still beat Marseille 2-0.
Yeah, Marseille are going to that part of the season.
Dijon, fighting against relegation, get a 3-1 over Lyon. That's fucking crazy. Stade Rennes with a 3-3 draw at Angers, despite Ben Arfa's amazing Messi-like goal.
Yes.
Dribbled on the whole squad and then got the return pass. Monaco with a 1-1 to Guingamp.
It was bottom.
Nope.
But Monaco clear now.
Clear to safety. What a fucking weird season. And PSG.
This was the job we wanted Henry to do.
Yeah.
I was just
Wasn't
telling you. I was like,
that
just
hard.
get him to 16.
Like
and
2 wins would have done that.
Exactly.
Motherfuckers is like,
They're like, they're in 16th. What? Yeah. Like.
PSG actually dropped points here to Strasbourg, as I thought it was Neymar when I sent that to you last night, but it was
Choupo-Moting.
Yeah, Choupo-Moting.
Don't remember his name. He's a bitch.
I've never seen anything like that.
You probably have in various sports. Like the propensity to do dumb shit.
Various sports, yes.
But
some Leon
Mbappe showed him his support by saying, "I've missed many more." And I'm like, yeah, but not that one.
No. That was one you didn't even need to touch. It's
like it's on me and stuff. It's like, yeah, dude, fuck him, man. That's what you get when you sign a Stoke striker.
Dude must hate that other dude's like, nah, I don't want you to score, son. He kept that shit out.
Yeah, you're gonna be in defense next game.
They're for real. PSG with only their third draw of the season.
From a fucking amazing beauty of a goal against them by Mr. Gonçalves.
Oh yeah, that was a monster goal, dude. Just a rocket. Their goal difference stands at 71, just for the sake of fucking mentioning it. They're 20 points clear at the top of the table. Lille sits second. Lille going to get rated for a couple of their nice little players this summer, I'm sure, as they prepare for Champions League football. 5 points clear of Lyon, who are 6 points clear of fourth place Saint Etienne, as Marseille have fallen out of that discussion, but they are still there.
Saint Etienne kid scored a spectacular goal to get them their points.
Yeah. All right. Marseille need to step it up a little bit. Relegation is probably the most exciting thing left. I
think that Marseille should stay right where the fuck they are, because I think a Europa League spot is the best they can do.
Well, yeah, they need to get into that Europa League spot then, because they're not in. They're not even in one. King Can, I think, are at the bottom of the table with 23 points, and Dijon with 24. And other than that, all three of them look like they're going down. Dijon 7 points from the next clearest team, Amiens. So Dijon at least one of those teams will at least play in a playoff to stay on up. I'm always in favor of mustard, though. So, moving along to our next section, Champions League preview. Because I've been dying for this, and I love this time of year because now it's not a month in between fucking legs, man. So, big matches coming, quarterfinals. Games are played this week and next week, so you'll know a lot really fast. Start you off chronologically, man. Liverpool hosting Porto at Anfield. This could Porto just need the best they can do here, man. Lock it down, maybe give up a goal. Maybe only lose 1-0 if they can. I don't know.
Last season's Porto-Liverpool game, they were quite embarrassed. I think they played 5-0 in one of the games. But if you're organized, try to get the away goal. Like, it doesn't matter if you lose. Like, just don't lose, don't get out of hand, lost. But, like, just if they could make that away goal, then they would at the very least, keep Liverpool honest in the second leg. And at home, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yep, exactly. Playing at Anfield in Europe is always a different proposition, so can certainly get out of hand real quick. So you're right, man. Porto have to come, be organized.
Think about being Porto in the Champions League this far, though.
It's whatever.
If you go on a away game anywhere right now, what do you think it is? It's all Anfield. Like, everybody just like hypes it up like that. But like, if you have an away game at Juventus, you think it's gonna be like a library? Nah, everybody gonna be hype.
I mean, I'm speaking from victim syndrome last year when they destroyed our team bus.
Local in the Champions League gets a lot more turned up different. Too.
Yeah. The other match on Tuesday is, speaking of, brand new stadium. Same old players for the last 24 months, but whatever. Tottenham hosting Manchester
Effective,
City.
Still in the Champions League, still in Champions League contention in their league, so why not, you know?
Yeah, Tottenham hosting City.
Where you kind of know what's coming at you from both teams, and it's just who executes better.
Yeah, I think Tottenham, again, here is just trying to minimize damage.
Nah. They're trying to win.
You think so?
And I think they will win. Nah, this is not Porto playing. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. Like, They've given them games before. They play a lot, so they have familiarity. Like the gap is like when you play internationally against different teams, is they have the bigger than life players. Say that because you don't see them, you know. So Liverpool meet Porto and they see Mo Salah. It takes them about 60 minutes to adjust to him. By the time they're already destroyed, you know. You guys, these are two teams that play in a competition together and they play against each other all the time. So yeah, they're gonna feel they can win a game.
I'm going to say they're out there trying not to give up 2 away goals. Like, more so than anything. Like, they're going to give up. They're going to give up a goal. They are that too. If they can get a 1-1, they'll take that as a win, I think. I agree that. But what I'm saying is they're not setting up to get that. They're setting up to win their home game. I don't like just because you are so big-headed that you think everybody's scared. Like they're playing them. They play to win. That's one of the reasons that they get fucked up. Pochettino knows what's up. They had 10 losses in the league, man. They know what's up, dude. They're not on this level. They're not on this level. I mean, yeah, you come to win the game. I'm not saying you do that, but in a 2-legged affair, in the Champions League, but what you're not understanding is that like you're not. And if you're playing, if you're coaching, you're not sitting there thinking, we've lost 10 games. You're sitting there thinking, what 11 players can I put into this game to get a result? You're not sitting back looking at, oh, we've lost 10 games, so we have nothing to do with this. If that's how you're coaching, then you're a bitch ass. I didn't say anything about that being in their psyche. I'm talking about the reality of their fucking team. You don't look at that. You look at an opportunity to play a game and win it. You're not looking at the reality of your shit. This is sports. You're not saying, hey guys, come here. Let's try, like, this is a tournament you're trying to win. They would even take a 0-0 in this motherfucking game, and they're going to play like that. Watch. So would fucking City. If it comes down to it after you play, no, City would not. City needs that. I want to see what tune you're singing after this game happens. God, you need that away goal. All right, we'll talk about this game again on Thursday, and then we'll see what tunes you're singing. Manchester United hosting Barcelona. I think that Manchester United, if you look at the stats they had against PSG, were dominated in everything except PSG made 3 mistakes in the second game. Both goals, all 3 goals were a mistake by PSG. 1 was a penalty and 2 were back passes that went off. So Manchester has to sit back and go for the counter-attack, which is what they always do. It's not because it's Barca, and hope that Barca doesn't execute. If you say a team is trying to not take a huge loss in the game, I would say them, because they've not been showing anything and they got lucky in the last round, so we'll see how that goes. But they can still get them. Rashford is back. Martial is back. You have to play the game of their lives, in my opinion, to fucking get a result here. You can get a goal, though. Like, much shitty. Like, that's the thing. Once you get a goal, like, that changes a lot. You know, Champions League in 2 legs at this level, I've seen too much to just write off teams the way you do. I'm not. Who have I written off? I've not written off anybody. Just now. You're like, it's so bad. Look at the reality. I didn't write them off. That is hyperbole, and you're going Stephen A on me here, man. Come on. I didn't write them off at all. Listen to it. I said their goal here. When you edit later, listen to what you're saying. Their goal of what they're doing, of what they're coming out to do in this game. These motherfuckers ain't thinking, man, we need to score. We're going to win this game. We're trying to win this game. They need to score. They do need to score. But they're not going for the 0-0. But more importantly, they need to not let City score 2 away goals on them. But that most important thing. But what you're not understanding is when you're playing against a team like Manchester City that scores, you have to, hold on. You cannot base your game plan on getting a 0-0. It's an unrealistic game plan that is rarely executed well. And if that is your case, then you still have to have a plan B for when they do score, because they will score. Mm-hmm. And I think that Tottenham is fully prepared for them to score. I don't think that when they do, their heads are going to go down. They're going to play, and they shall also score, is what my prediction is. I don't think you're going to watch a game where one team is going to be going for a 0-0. They'll be trying to minimize that, like I said. Everybody's going to try to minimize that. You can get to that second game. The Champions League game, every game, that applies to every game. I've seen so many. It's 2 legs, though. And that changes. Every team is trying not to give up multiple away goals. This was a one-off? You know what I'm saying? If this was a one-off, I get it. Every single matchup that is happening. Every team is trying not to give up. City, Liverpool, Barca, every single team that what you're saying to applies to everybody, not uniquely to them. When you're the team that plays the first game at home, just as important, more so important than winning the fucking game is not giving up the away goal. From a tactical standpoint, I don't give a fuck. Especially when you're playing a team as strong as City.
United just lost 2-0 to PSG.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? It's not ideal, but it's not,
anything can happen. We know
exactly. This is the
we're not
Champions League
saying
farther
that.
round.
I'm talking about approach. That's all we're talking about.
Dude, and what I'm saying is that that is not unique to anybody, to Tottenham. I'm saying every single home team is trying to get a shutout, not just Tottenham. That's the part that you're not understanding. You think it's unique because they're playing City. No, it's every single team is trying to get that in the first leg at home. It's not unique to Tottenham.
Liverpool is trying to put up 5 on Porto. They're not trying to fucking stop Porto from scoring one fucking goal.
No.
Not every team is doing that.
Listen to me. If Liverpool gives up an away goal and wins 2-1, they will be super upset that they gave up that away goal because that changes the whole. So they are also trying to get a first leg shutout.
5 though.
Sure.
They're not thinking about 2.
Dude.
They want to dead this whole fucking thing.
Dude,
up front.
If they see the opening, they're not pulling back either is what I'm saying. It's just that City is not going to provide them the opening to score 5. But yeah, if you give them fast breaks, you've seen shit. No, but like what I'm saying is like, you've seen Manchester United team that wasn't even set up to score multiple goals come in and take 3 against PSG. Shit gets out of hand quick. And so every single team is set up at home to first and foremost get their shutout. That's the Champions League. Once the away rules came into play, that is every single team's goal at all times in the first leg at home is to get a shutout.
Okay. Ajax is Juventus.
Same.
Now we're on to excellent analysis here.
No, but what I'm saying is, do they stop Ronaldo at home?
If he plays?
If he doesn't, do they go to the second leg with something to work on? But like the first leg, Ajax, this is a huge underdog. Like,
huge underdog?
Oh yeah.
You think?
Anything out of Holland is a huge underdog. Ronaldo is worth more than 3 times Ajax's team.
I have a pretty outstanding squad this year, though.
Yes, still huge underdog. I'm not saying that with doubt about who their squad is. I'm saying that their last result was a huge upset on a team that was going through some serious upheaval. And don't get it twisted. I think that Ajax is going to get fucked.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
I wanted to bring up something about Ajax because when I asked you about them and their potential in this competition, you was like, they're not even winning their league right now, or whatever. Which I had to take a look at, and you do have an outstanding PSV squad, so they are top of the table right now. They've scored 100 fucking goals in league this year. They've only given up 26.
Have you seen? There's only the PSG games and the Feyenoord games are the ones that don't get blown out though.
Oh,
look at PSG stats, the PSV stats right behind them. They're right, like they've scored a fuckload too, not 100, but like, you feel me?
And Ajax has consistently played the big teams extremely well this year in Champions League. They tied the top of their division. I mean, they've been a way above average Dutch team this year, and I don't think they're huge underdogs at all in this game.
What result do you think out of this game?
Out of this game, I think they can win the game. I think they could definitely win.
Give me a scoreline.
2-1.
I think that Juve gets a 2-0.
Okay. That'll be tough for them to overcome in the second, but as we discuss, anything is possible in
And I absolutely
European
hope that
football.
you're right, because I've never liked Juventus and I've never liked Ronaldo, but I think that they're going to do them.
Do it, baby. That's all that Ronaldo does is do them.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Be like, sorry guys, I'm usually a gentleman. Not today.
Moving along to the forwards.
Hasta la vista, baby.
All right. Even though it's basically like we're actually running a 4-4-2 here, we should have just kept it like that.
Before we do all the thing and the previews and all that, I want to say that I think Tottenham gets a 2-1 in the first game.
No doubt. I actually have a feeling that City's going to ransack them. But
Dude.
that would be awesome. But moving along, Europa. We got the vagina battle, the battle of the V's, Villarreal and Valencia. a team going for a Champions League spot versus a team fighting off relegation. But hey, this is Europe. It doesn't matter. And as you mentioned, Villarreal could actually play in the Champions League and be in the second division next year. But what's your real thoughts about the game? I think this almost feels 50-50 in a weird kind of way.
It does kind of feel 50-50 because even the games that Villarreal has lost, the thing that makes them such a surprising relegation candidate in their league is that they've played generally decent. But I would say they're going to lose it just because I think that it's catching up to them and like they're going to be looking at the league too much. Because even if they advance, I don't think they're going to win the Europa. And I don't think that they can put anything on this. They have to put all their things on, all hands on deck to stay in league.
In La Liga, yeah. And that's probably more important to them?
Not probably. Like it's definitely more important to them.
I agree.
And if you win the Europa, I think you get into the Champions League qualifying round where they'll probably get bounced, and that's it. You know?
Mm-hmm. Benfica hosting Frankfurt. That actually seems like a nice, tasty little tie.
Should be. Frankfurt has been on a bit of a downturn, but their forward line is always.
They've been playing good this year, though. They're top 4, aren't they? They've been playing good. No. Frankfurt's 4th.
Oh, it's 4th.
It's Hoffenheim that's on the downturn. But Frankfurt's played well this year, and they've been playing well lately, I think.
Their forward line is really good, you know. So with Jovic and everybody, so we'll see how it goes.
And then there's Slavia Praha. Check out this bizarre matchup against Chelsea. Chelsea wax city here, yeah.
Totally confused Leverkusen and Frankfurt, not Hoffenheim and Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Repeat that, please.
Chelsea heavily favored against. I don't even know where this team is from. It's a Czech squad.
Slavia Prague, yeah, that's from Prague.
Prague, okay.
That's how Prague is spelled. It's Prague. Yeah, they're heavily favored, but I don't think that Chelsea has been prolific enough to be heavily favored. I think they'll beat them, but I don't know how. You know, like the way they've been playing this year, they don't score a lot, so I don't know what it means.
Man, they've played like nobody's the entire Europa. That'll change if they move along from this stage. Two teams with the biggest name recognition, at least matchup-wise. Here, Europa, Napoli, Arsenal hosting Napoli in the first round. Are these evenly matched teams, or do you favor one team or the other? Or?
I think they're pretty evenly matched. I would say, I wouldn't put any money on either team. They're evenly disappointing too.
I agree, man. I agree with that. That's for sure. Arsenal, again, as we mentioned, Arsenal and Chelsea are in the same conundrum as far as like you said, they have to focus on both basically.
I can see Chelsea, like, if they got to a final, just beating people though. Like, Arsenal doesn't have that leader like how Hazard is.
Yep, word up. That's Europa. Interesting enough, Chelsea played today and Thursday. Any effect there?
Yeah, no respect
Any
for
issues?
the league.
Yeah, man,
why don't you play Brighton against Burnley on this Monday and like move there? I don't know. Or Crystal Palace, Newcastle, that was a decent game. Like, move that to Monday.
Matter of fact, we'll play Liverpool on Friday. Give them extra days for
It's
their
always
European
been the case that Champions League will, like, teams get more respect. Like, you're making the league more money too. So that's always been the case, and that's the thing about Europa. Like, it's not even this one where you play Monday and Thursday. They will schedule them on a Saturday.
Yeah.
When they come back after it.
Mm-hmm. D4G egregious prestigious awards. Dude of the week goes to.
Dude of the week goes to Moise Kean.
Yeah, for fighting opponents, scoring goals, and fighting teammates and racism. Like,
yep, and doing it stylishly with dance moves and excellent finishes. Big up yourself, Moise Kean.
We love black Italians on this show, apparently.
Hey, and if they can dance, even better.
Goal of the week goes to.
Goal of the week goes to Strasbourg's Gonçalves, who had a volley from outside the box to postpone PSG's celebrations.
Man, it was a fucking knife, cutting through butter, man. It was a rocket.
Gigi didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Nope. Upcoming next week, just to recap the Premier League title race, we have Palace hosting City, and just to refresh memories, they beat City at home, and I don't think City has lost since that game. So that's that, and then Liverpool host Chelsea.
Yep. And Chelsea, Liverpool, if they get this result, then it's a lot of decent, easier games after this. And City has the 3 games against Tottenham coming up, so
a lot can be decided quick this time of year.
But Liverpool has to get this result against Chelsea, so we'll see how that goes. And Chelsea's good at upsetting and fucking up Liverpool seasons. So.
Serie A, you're looking at Milan hosting Lazio, La Liga, Sevilla hosting Betis, and then Bundesliga, RB Wolfsburg. But I wanted to run the top 2 games down. Dortmund hosts Mainz, and surprising Dusseldorf, sitting in 10th place, host Bayern.
Yeah, one will be like a last-second win, and the other one will be a 6-0.
Wow, you guess which one. And with all that, man, that match is in the books. Diving for Glory, Season 2, Episode 31. We thank you, anybody who takes time to tune in and check us out. Please remember, we post every Monday on iTunes, YouTube, and divingforglory.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Diving for Glory. # subscribe, like, retweet, do all that. Rate us. Tell us what you think. And that's a wrap, man. Corciola. Solomon. Holla.
Diving.
What do you mean, Bono?
There's nothing more to say.
Diving. Glory.